This is part 3 of the Divi Builder plugin tutorials. You can build any website combining the Divi Builder plugin with any theme of your liking. As you might be used to by now, I have put all videos together and will give you, below every video in this series of 3 so far, a full index of what part of the video is dealing with what part of the Divi Builder plugin tutorials. You will find all links to these parts below the video on YouTube or on the special page on www.wordpressexamples.com. All videos, by the way, are courtesy Nick Roach, owner of Elegant Themes. We also have a special offer if you don't have a subscription of Elegant Themes yet. You can also find a link to that offer below the video. Last but not least, it will be appreciated if you subscribe to the WordPress Examples YouTube channel. Click the little red icon in the corner of the video to subscribe now and stay up to date with great tutorials and free WordPress stuff. Thanks for watching.
In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the Divi Builder Social Follow module, which can be used to place icon links to your social profiles, such as Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, and so on. You can choose from different colors and shapes and layouts. Now, a great place I might want to use this, for example, would be on my blog page. So here's a page I built with the Divi Builder. On the left, I have my blog module, and on the right, I have my sidebar. And I'd like to place some social follow icons above my sidebar so that my visitors can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. So I'm going to edit this page, and we'll show you how to configure this module. So on the right here, I'm going to click the Insert Modules button and look for that Social Follow module, which is towards the bottom. And once you click on the Social Follow module, you'll be greeted with the Social Follow module settings. And it's broken up into a couple of different tabs here. And as a general philosophy, everything you need to build a really great page in Divi can be found in the general settings. But if you'd like to venture into our custom CSS settings, you can do that as well. And you can apply custom CSS to the module as a whole or individual parts of the module as well. But in this tutorial, I'm just going to focus on the general settings. If you want to learn more about our custom CSS tab, be sure to check out my other tutorial back on the main documentation page. So heading back to the general settings. Now, the way the social media follow module works is it's actually a collection of individual links. And so you can add each link to each social profile individually up here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is click the Add New Social Network button. And here you can choose which network you want to add, which will control the icon that is used for that button. So if I choose Facebook, it's going to be a Facebook icon. And then you're just going to want to input the URL to your Facebook profile, whatever that may be. You want to input the full URL, not just your username. So here I've put in facebook.com/elegantthemes. And you can choose an icon color as well, but by default, it'll use the standard color for that profile. So Facebook uses this dark blue, and I'm just going to leave it that way and save. And you can add any number of links. If I want to add one to Twitter, I can do that as well. Just click the Add New button, choose Twitter, input your URL again, twitter.com/elegantthemes. And again, you can change the color if you like, but in this case, I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it the default blue, and as you can see, this blue is a little different because it's Twitter. It's a little bit lighter. And you can keep adding more and more links that way, depending on which social media services you use. And if at any time you want to get a preview of the module you're working on, you can do so using the preview icon down here. So if you click that, you'll see the module rendered inside of its parent section. So we have the whole section here, the blog module on the left, our sidebar, and then our social media profile module, which I added down here. And you can switch between our responsive design testing tabs as well to get an idea of what it looks like at different screen sizes and different devices. And so I'm going to save and exit, and then I'm going to drag this up to the top because I want it to be at the top of my sidebar, and we'll update it and take a look on the front end. So as you can see, my social media links have been added above my sidebar, which is great. Now my visitors can follow me. And you can also choose between different layouts and shapes as well. So if we head back into the settings here, on the main general settings here, you can choose a couple different things. So I'll go through each of these general settings as well. You can choose a shape, either rounded, rectangle, or circle. So if I switch to circle and take a look, using the previewer, you'll see that the icon container has been changed from a rounded rectangle to a circle. You can adjust the text color in either, that would be either light or dark depending on the background you're using. So right now I have a white background, and so I'd probably want to use dark text. And the text color applies to the optional follow button text, which I'll go over in a second. Actually, I'll just enable that right now. So by default, we just have the icon, but you can also enable follow text, which kind of like is a little bit easier to understand, I guess, for visitors that don't know what those buttons are. It'll say follow next to the button, which is kind of typical for a lot of those standard Twitter and Facebook badges that you see around the internet. You'll see like a little Twitter icon and then the word follow next to it. And so you can enable that as well. So if we enable a follow button text and preview it, you'll see that follow has been added. And then you can choose between light and dark text for that. So if I happen to have a dark background color, I might want to change this to light text instead of dark so that they show up a little bit better. But in this case, I do have a light background, so I'm just going to keep that set to dark. You can also choose to have the URL open in a new window, which I would recommend since you typically don't want to take visitors away from the content they're reading, so that when they're done following you and they close that tab, they'll be back on your blog. So you can choose to have it open in a new tab or have it open in the same window if you'd rather have it work that way. And finally, we have our admin label, CSS ID, and CSS classes, which we don't need to worry about for this tutorial. And so I'm going to save and exit and update. And if we take a look at our front end page, you'll see that the icon has been changed to a circle and our follow text has been added. So that gives you a basic overview of the different options in the Divi Builder social follow module. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the Divi Builder map module. What this module does, it allows you to add Google Maps to your page and custom pins really easily. So here's an example of a bunch of maps I've added to the page in various columns, and they're going to automatically adjust their size and center on the pin no matter what column width you put it in. And you can also add it to full width sections as well. So here's a full width section and a full width map module added to it. So a common application for using this map module would be, for example, to add a map on your contact page or your About Us page. You might have a contact form along with, information about your business, along with your location. And if you're a local business, you'd probably want to make it as easy as possible for people to find you. And Google Maps is the perfect way to do that. So here we have a very basic About Us page. It has information about our company, contact form, and at the top here I'd like to add a map. So I'm going to edit the page, and I'm going to add a new row at the top here. So I want it to be big, so I'm just going to make it a single column. I'm going to move the row above our current row, and then I'm going to click the Insert Modules button and locate the Map module, which is right here. And once you click the Map module, you'll be greeted with the Map module settings. As with any Divi Builder module, these settings are separated into 3 tabs: General Settings, Advanced Design Settings, and Custom CSS. As a general rule of thumb, everything you need to create an awesome page using the Divi Builder can be found inside the General Settings. But if you want even more control over the appearance of your module, then you could venture into the Advanced Design Settings and Custom CSS. Typically in the Advanced Design Settings, there are quite a few options to adjust the appearance of the module, but in this case, the Map module doesn't really have much that can be edited since it's really all controlled by Google. So we just have one setting here, which is to enable a grayscale filter, which will turn your map gray, which is pretty cool. But typically there's a lot of options in here for other modules. And if you're CSS savvy, you can add custom CSS directly to the module as well. For example, maybe you want to add a border or something like that. If you know CSS, that's only takes a couple seconds. So moving back to the General Settings tab, the first thing you're going to want to do for your map is enter a map center address. So typically just, wherever, whatever city you're in, maybe you want to add that. So I could just put San Francisco here. And then click Find, and Google Maps should be able to locate that just with the city name. So here we go, centered on San Francisco. And now I want to add a new pin to the map, which would be, my store location. And you can give a title to the pin as well. So I'll put store location. And you want to enter your actual address, probably, or you can also enter a general location. So maybe I could just put, Union Square, San Francisco. And find, and it'll find it automatically, which is great. So here it dropped it right in the middle of Union Square. Maybe I'm a food truck or something, we're just moving around the square. I just want to let people know I'm in that general area. And you can also add content to the module, which will affect when you hover or click on the pin. So if you want to add some more information about that location, you can do so here. Okay, so after you've added your pin, you can save. And you can add multiple pins as well. So if you want to add, if you have multiple locations, feel free to add multiple pins. And here you can see our pin's been added. Our map has been centered on San Francisco, and our pin's been placed here in Union Square. Now moving down, there's also a couple options. First, you can enable or disable mouse wheel zoom. So sometimes when you're scrolling down the page, for example, I'll scroll down the page here with the mouse wheel, you can get stuck on it. And it's kind of like not the best experience. And using the mouse wheel is quite common, so I typically disable this, especially when using the full width map module, or when using a module in a single column, because it extends typically the full width of the content. So no matter what, if you're using the mouse wheel, you're gonna get caught in that. So I'm going to disable the mouse wheel. And then we have our admin label, CSS ID, and CSS class, which we won't be using in this tutorial. Now, at any time when you're configuring a module, you can get a quick preview of that module by clicking the preview icon. And that's going to render the module in the current section. And you can also toggle between our responsive design testing tabs to get a look about how that module responds to different screen sizes. And so it's quite handy, especially when you're making a lot of little tweaks. You can kind of bounce back and forth between that preview tab. So things are looking pretty good. I'm going to save and exit and update the page, and we'll take a look at that map on the front end. So viewing our page now, our map has been added to the top here, and I can scroll freely with a mouse wheel without getting stuck. And below the map we have our contact page and additional info about our business. And like I said, the map module can also be used in a full width section. So just to show you what that's like, if I want to create a different effect where this map extends the full width of the page, well, I can do that as well. I can add a new full width section. I'm going to delete our old row here. Then I'm going to add a new map. Look for the full width map module. We can add a new pin just like before. And I'm going to save and exit. And we'll take a look at that page again, and this time you'll see that the map extends the full width of the page here, which is a pretty cool effect. So yeah, you can use the map module either in a standard section or a full width section, and that's a basic overview of the Divi Builder map module. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the Divi Builder Person module. The Person module is a great way to display a personal bio about an individual, including an optional profile photo, name, position within a company, bio text, and links to social media profiles. So here we have 3 person modules with 3 different personal bios. The perfect example of where this might be useful would be for an About Us page. So if you have a company you'd like to list some information about your team members, you can do so using the Person module. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this tutorial. I've created a basic About Us page, and towards the bottom here where it says the crew, I'm going to list our 3 crew members. So I'm going to edit the page and start off by adding a new row there at the bottom. Since we're adding 3 personal bios, I'm going to choose a 3 1/3 column row, and I'm going to insert our first person module by clicking the Insert Modules button here in our first column. Locate the person module, and once you click on that, you're going to be greeted with the various person module settings. Now, as with every Divi Builder module, settings are separated into 3 tabs: General Settings, Advanced Design Settings, and Custom CSS. As a general rule of thumb, everything you need to create a great page with the Divi Builder can be found inside the general settings, but if you want even more control over the appearance of the module, then you can move into the Advanced Design Settings tab, which has all kinds of great customization settings for every single part of the module: font sizes, colors, font weights, letter spacing, line height, padding margin. Basically everything you can think of can be done here in the Advanced Design Settings tab. Also, if you know CSS, if you're a CSS savvy person, well, you can just skip over to the Custom CSS tab and make those customizations yourself by adding custom CSS to the module and individual elements within the module. Now, I have some great tutorials that focus on the advanced design settings and custom CSS, so be sure to check those out back in the documentation page. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to focus on the general settings. So moving back, the first setting we have is the name, which is the name of the person. So you're going to want to input their name here. Their position within the company. So if this is a company bio, you might want to input their position. Image URL, this would be their profile photo. So you can upload an image of the person here or choose from images within your WordPress gallery. You can choose to have an animation tied to that image, so as you scroll down the page, the image will fade in from the left, right, top, bottom, or you can have no animation as well. So I'll have it fade in from the left. Finally, you can choose your text color. Now, if you have a dark background color applied to the section, you probably want to have a light text color, but since we have a white background color on our section, I'm going to keep the dark text color to ensure that it's readable. Next, you can input profile URLs to each of these profiles: Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and LinkedIn. So if you have profiles for any of these, you can input the full profile URL here. So, for example, facebook.com/elegantthemes, or whatever your profile URL happens to be. Next up is the description about the person. So just input whatever you want to say about the person here. And finally, we have our admin label, CSS ID, and CSS class, which we won't be using in this tutorial. Now, at any time during the configuration of the module, you can get a preview of that module by clicking the preview icon, so you can see what you've been working on. So here we have the module rendered in its parent section, and you can also switch between our responsive design testing tabs to get an idea how that module will appear at various different screen sizes. So it's looking pretty good. I'm going to save and exit, and since I want to have 3 of these modules, I'm going to duplicate this twice, move them over, and then switch out some of the info here. I'm just going to change the images for now, but you'd want to obviously input the relevant information for each person. And there we go. I can preview it again to get an idea of what I've been building here. So we have our 3 person modules with images and their names and positions, bios, links to Facebook, each placed in a 1/3 column. So I'm going to save the page and take a look at the front end here, and we can see what our finished page looks like. So scrolling down to the bottom, here we have the crew. And there you have the finished person module. Now, before I wrap up here, I want to just briefly touch on those advanced design settings I kind of skipped over earlier. Like I said before, there's so much you can do in these advanced design settings. You can customize absolutely everything. For example, you could change the icon color. Maybe I want to make it purple. Those are the social media profile icon colors. You could change the header font. Maybe you want to change that to something different font, or maybe make it a little bit bolder. Make it all caps. You could even increase the size of it, make it stand out a little bit more. And while you're playing with these, you can always bounce back and forth between the preview. So here I have a preview of what I've been working on with my purple icon color and bigger, bolder font here. So it's looking pretty good. And you can, like I said, customize just about anything in those settings and kind of bounce back and forth between the preview system here. And yep, that's a basic overview of the Divi Builder Person module. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the Divi Builder Pricing Table module. The Pricing Table module can be used to create a table of prices that compare different features between different products that you're selling. So for example, here I've kind of recreated the Elegant Themes pricing model between our different packages, and you can see the pricing of each package. You can feature one of them to make it look a little bit, stand out a little bit more if you want to drive kind of more sales in one direction. And then you can show which features are available for each package and which are not. So the perfect example of this would be to use it on a sales page. And so that's what we're going to do in this tutorial. I have a sales page that I've started to create here. And I'd like to add our pricing tables right down here, right above our testimonials, and right below our feature descriptions. So I'm going to edit this page. And down here, I'm going to click the Insert Modules button and look for the Pricing Table module. Once you open up the Pricing Table module settings, you'll notice that the settings are separated into 3 different tabs, as are every Divi Builder module settings. The 3 tabs are General Settings, Advanced Design Settings, and Custom CSS. As a general rule of thumb, everything you need to create a great Divi Builder page can be found within the general settings, but if you want even more control over the appearance of your module, then you can explore the advanced design settings, which have all kinds of customization options that allow you to change the appearance of absolutely every part of the module. You can change fonts, font sizes, colors, spacing, padding, margin, line height, letter spacing. You get the idea. You can customize absolutely everything. You can also apply custom CSS to your module and elements within the module. So if you happen to be CSS savvy, you can also just create your own CSS here and customize everything that way. Now I've created some really great tutorials about how to use these advanced design settings and custom CSS, so be sure to check those out. And in this tutorial, I'm just going to focus on the general settings. So moving back to the general settings and scrolling up here, pricing tables can include different packages. So each pricing table is actually a collection of different columns, each of which is a different package that you're offering. So you're going to want to add multiple pricing tables here, and so the first thing you're going to want to do is add your first pricing table by clicking the Add New Pricing Table button, and this will launch the pricing table settings. And here you can configure things about that current package, right? Like the price, the features that are included and the features that are not included, as well as where the button should go when it's clicked. So if you're using like WooCommerce, for example, you can link that button to a certain item and start the checkout process that way. Or if you're like a web design consulting firm, then that package might link to more of a kind of like a quote form or something like that, or other kind of custom checkout process, PayPal payment, anything like that. So first things first, you can choose whether or not this particular table is featured or not. And featured tables are increased in size, and they have a more bold color attached to them just to kind of draw people's attention to that table. So a typical strategy in pricing tables is maybe have 3 options, and to maybe kind of funnel your users towards the option that tends to make you the most money. So you might have a really cheap option, a really expensive option, which will drive people to the kind of in-between option, and you can feature that particular option and kind of drive traffic that way, which might convert a little bit better. So you can choose to make that featured or not. In this case, I'm not going to. So you can give it a title and a subtitle, which will appear above the price at the top of the title. So I might call this the, bronze plan. And you can give it a subtitle. I'll call it pretty good. And you can choose a currency, so just input your currency symbol. I'm going to use US dollars. You can choose to have it be recurring, so if you want it to be like per year or per month, or just if you don't want it to be, if you want it to be a one-time payment, just put nothing into this particular field. Finally, we have the price, so let's say this is $39. And then the button URL, so you want to link that wherever you want the button to go. So just input your URL there. Next up is the button text. You might want to just say something like join today or buy today. And then the content is where you list the features that are either included or not included in this particular package. And each new feature should be placed on a new line within the content box here. And you should prepend it with either a plus symbol or a minus symbol. So, for example, if you want a feature to be included in this package, you would say plus something included. And if something is not included, you would do minus not included. And so if we save that and take a preview here, you can get a look at how that pricing table appears in the front end. And you can preview a module at any time when editing it by clicking this preview icon here. So that'll render the module in its parent section, and you can get an idea what it looks like. And you can also bounce between our responsive design testing tabs to see how that module responds to different screen sizes. So here you can see our pricing table has a price of $39. It's called the bronze package. It's pretty good. We have two features, something that's included and something that's not included. And the not included thing is kind of doled out in gray, and the included thing is has full opacity, and you can clearly tell what is and is not included. So that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to add my second table, and just to speed things up, I'm just going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to call this the silver package. I'm also going to feature this one. This will be my middle package. I'm going to feature it. I'm going to call this really good. It's going to be $59. And this one's going to have both features included. I'm going to save. And we can preview that again. So here now we have two packages, a $39 bronze package, a $59 silver package. The bronze package only has one thing included, and the silver package has them both included. Now I could add a third option as well. This could be called the gold option. It's very good. It is $89, and it might have some other feature that the other ones don't. So we want to make sure that has a plus symbol. Make sure there's no space between the plus symbol and the item, so no space, just plus, and then start the feature on the new line. Oh, and actually I want to make sure this one isn't featured. That wasn't my plan. Okay, so previewing this again. So now we have our finished pricing table with three packages, bronze, silver, and gold. More expensive, the more features that are included. And that's looking pretty good. So I can save and exit and update the page, and we can take a look at the pricing table on the front end on our sales page. So here we go. We have three packages, bronze, silver, and gold, placed above our testimonials. Now you can see they're kind of uneven here. That's because I included three features in the gold and only two in the silver. So you'd probably want to avoid that. You'd probably want to go back and make sure that that feature in the gold package, which isn't included in the other ones, is listed as such. So I can go back here and make sure that this is not included in these. Which would be a bit more clear. And if we update the page and refresh, you can see the basic structure here. That's looking a lot better. And yep, that's a basic overview of the pricing table general settings. But before I sign off here, I want to give a brief overview of how those advanced design settings work, which I skipped over earlier. So you can do so much with those advanced design settings. If I move back into the pricing table and go into this silver package here, if I head over to the advanced design settings, you can really customize absolutely everything about the module. So for example, if I wanted to change the header font, maybe make it bolder in all caps, I could do that. I could change the header color, subtitle color, really everything. So you can move through here and just customize everything, even the buttons. So if I wanted to open up custom button styles, I could do that. Maybe I want to bump up this silver package button a little bit, make it brighter and greener so it really catches people's eye. That's something you could do. So I could change the button text color to white. And I could change the background color to maybe a bright green. And save, and we can get a preview of that. As you can see, so I've changed the color to green. It really stands out. And you can do that to absolutely every element of the module, and the title as well. As you see, I made it bolder and bigger. And now this central package is really standing out from the other ones. And so you can continue to customize each element of the pricing table to really match the overall design system that you're using for your website. And that is a basic overview of the pricing table modules in the Divi Builder. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the Divi Builder Shop module, which allows you to add a list of products to any post or page powered by WooCommerce. So before you can actually use the Shop module, you first have to install WooCommerce, configure it, and create some products. So after you install WooCommerce and configure it, you'll see a new products post type gets added here, and you can add new products. And those products are what show up inside of the shop module. It's really just a way to easily add WooCommerce products, lists of WooCommerce products inside the post or page you're building with the Divi Builder. And you want to make sure whenever you do add a new product, as you can see, there's a list of my products, that you assign it a product image, and that's the image that will appear within the grid view of the shop module, as you see here. So there's that tea kettle that I showed you and the featured image here. And if I click on this, it's going to bring me to the product page for that kettle. And you can go ahead and add that to your cart and go through the WooCommerce checkout process. So once you've created your set of products and installed WooCommerce, adding a list of those products inside the Divi Builder is really easy. So let me show you how to create a page just like this using the Divi Builder and the shop module. So I've gotten started over here. I've just added a new title to the page, and below that I want to add our list of products using the shop module. So I'm going to edit this page, and I'm going to add a new section below our current full width section, and I'm going to make this a 3/4, 1/4. And on the left side here, I'm going to place our shop module with all of our products, and on the right I'm going to add a sidebar and perhaps some other modules as well. So once you've added your row, click the Insert Modules button and locate the Shop module. Once you click on the Shop module, you'll be greeted with all of the Shop module settings. And as with all Divi Builder modules, these settings are separated into 3 categories: General Settings, Advanced Design Settings, and Custom CSS. As a general rule of thumb, everything you need to build a great page with the Divi Page Builder can be found in the General Settings tab. But if you want to have even more control over the design and appearance of that module, well, then you can venture into the Advanced Design Settings tab, which has customization options for absolutely everything inside the module. You can adjust font sizes, colors, line height, letter spacing, padding, margin. You get the idea. You can customize absolutely everything. And if you happen to be CSS savvy, you can also move over to the Custom CSS tab and apply custom CSS to modules and elements within the modules. Now I have some great tutorials that go over how to use advanced design settings and custom CSS. So be sure to check those out. And as far as this tutorial goes, I'm just going to focus on those general settings. So when you add a new shop module to your page, you're going to have to configure a few basic general settings. First of all, you want to select the type of list of products you will be displaying. Do you want to display recent products, featured products, products that are on sale, best-selling products, top-rated products, or products based on a certain category? These are all basic WooCommerce features. So you can feature products in WooCommerce. You can put products on sale, and you'll have a list of best-selling products. And when you do those things, for example, if you created a shop module that was only displaying sale products, any item you put on sale would then appear in that module. So you can have a special page that you built out just to display, your current sales, or a page to display your top-selling products. In this case, I'm just going to leave it at recent products, in which case it's going to display all my products in the order that they have been published. Next up, we're going to want to choose how many items are displayed. So you can limit this or increase it. I'm just going to have 10 items displayed in this case. You can choose how many columns. Now, by default, the Divi Builder will adjust how many products are displayed per column based on the size of the browser window and the size of the column that the shop module has been added to it. But if you want to override what the Divi Builder does and kind of control it on your own, then you can do that by selecting a number of columns here. So if you leave it at default, the Divi Builder will do all the work. But if you want to override that, you can. And I'm just going to leave it default because typically default looks quite good. You can also change the way that the items in your list are sorted, either by popularity, rating, date, or price. And finally, you can add an admin label, CSS ID, and CSS class, which we won't be using in this tutorial. Now, at any time during the module configuration process, you can hop into the preview window by clicking the preview icon here, and it's going to give you a look at your current module rendered inside of its parent section. And so we can see what we've created so far, which is our list of recent products. And it's looking good, so I'm going to save and exit. And to finish off the page, I'm going to add my sidebar module here. I'm not going to go into how the sidebar module works. You can check out that tutorial if you like. But it's pretty simple. I'm just adding a sidebar that I've created earlier in the widgets page. And so now our page is basically done. I'm going to view it on the front end, and you're going to see on the left our list of products is here using the shop module, and my sidebar is here on the right. And I've customized it to only show 10 items, although now that I look at it again, I probably should have chosen 9, so we didn't have this widowed item at the bottom here. So now that I look at that, I'm probably going to bounce back in here and change this to 9 instead, and give it a quick preview to verify that, yep, 9 looks like the magic number here. And I'm going to save and exit and update the page. So that's a basic overview of the shop module. Now, I glossed over the advanced design settings earlier, so let me just show you a bit of what can be done using those settings as well. I'm going to jump into the advanced design settings and just change a couple things. And like I said, you can adjust absolutely everything in here. For example, the hover icon, if you wanted to change that to something else, you could. You could choose the overlay color. Maybe instead of using a white, which is standard, you could use like a dark, slightly transparent black. You could change the icon hover color. Maybe you want to make that like a really bright pink. You can adjust the title font, adjust the font weight, and the text transformation, and even adjust the title size. There's no limit to what can be done. And while you're editing these advanced design settings, it's really great to pop in and out of the preview tab to see what you've done so far. So you can see we've increased the size and font weight and font of the title. We've changed the overlay to be dark and our icon to be pink, which now that I'm previewing it, I'm realizing, you know what, the pink isn't showing up very well, so I might want to jump back here and make this something else like a white, which will probably look a lot better. So jumping back into the preview, that white icon showing up pretty good. And you can jump in and out of these responsive design testing tabs as well to see kind of how it looks at different sizes. So yeah, I think that's looking pretty good now. I'm going to save and exit and update the page. And if we look at it on the front end, we can see the results. So yep, that's a basic overview of the shop module in the Divi page builder. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the Divi Builder tab module, which allows you to create different tabs of content, and as you click the title of each tab, the relevant content is displayed. And you can place anything inside these tabs, text and images, shortcodes, and so on. The tab module works in columns of any size, and as you place the tab module in a smaller column size, the tabs will start to stack vertically like this, since there's no longer room for them to be listed horizontally. So as an example, I'm building a contact us page here, and I have our map module, I have a contact module, and to the right here, I'd just like to display some more information about our company, but I like to consolidate it into a smaller space using the tab module. I might list, our location, maybe our contact info, maybe some more information about us, and so on. So what I could do is just kind of replace this with the tab module, and have this be in the first tab and have some additional information be in other tabs, and it'll still fit nicely in this 2-column layout. So I'm going to edit the page. I'm going to delete this text module, and instead I'm going to use the tab module. So I'm going to insert module and look for the tab module towards the bottom here. And once you click on the tabs module, you're going to be greeted with the tab module settings, and as with all Divi Builder modules, settings are broken up into 3 tabs: General Settings, Advanced Design Settings, and Custom CSS. As a general rule, everything you need to build a really great page using the Divi Builder can be found inside the General Settings, but if you want even more control over the appearance of your module, you can venture into the Advanced Design Settings, which has customization options for every part of the module. You can change fonts, colors, text sizes, margin and padding. Basically anything you can think of can be customized in the Advanced Design Settings tab. And if you happen to know CSS, you can also jump into the Custom CSS tab and add CSS to the module or elements within the module. Now I have some really great tutorials that cover these Advanced Design Settings and Custom CSS, so I'd recommend you check those out if you'd like to learn more, but in this tutorial I'm just going to focus on the General Settings. So heading back to the General Settings tab, each tab module is a collection of tabs, and you have to add each tab individually using the Add New Tab button. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to add a new tab, and once you click into the new tab settings, you'll have just two options here: the title and then the content, which is the title is what you click, and then the content is displayed in the tab below it. So I'm just going to add a title here. I'll say About Us. And below that, I'm going to add some information about my company. And I'm going to save. And if at any moment you want to get a look at the module you're working on, you can click the preview icon down here, and that'll launch an instant preview of the module, and it'll be rendered inside of its parent section. And you can bounce through our different responsive design testing tabs to get an idea what that module looks like at different screen sizes. So here's our tab module to the right of our contact page, or contact module. And so I'm going to head back in and add one more tab, and I'll say contact info. And here I might want to list like our phone number, maybe a fax number, perhaps email address, and then maybe just some additional information, whatever you need. So in this case, I just have some fake info here, but you get the idea. So I'm going to save. And again, we can preview it, and we can see we now have 2 tabs, some contact info, and then general About Us tab. And so I'm going to save and exit, and we'll take a look at the tab module on the front end. So taking a look at our page, we have our header and map, our contact form, and on the right, a tab module with two different tabs, just consolidating this information, which would usually, have to take up much more vertical space. Now it takes up about the same amount of space as our contact form, which just looks a lot nicer and is a little bit easier to understand. So yep, that's a basic overview of the general settings of the tab module. But before I end this tutorial, I want to just also touch on briefly those advanced design settings that I kind of glossed over earlier, and just show you that you really can customize just about everything in a module using these advanced design settings. So for example, I could change the tab font, maybe make it bold and caps, and increase the size a little bit. And like I said, it's nice to just kind of jump back and forth between the preview here, and you can see, well, I've changed the font, made it bold and all caps, and increased the size a bit. And I could change the color too if I wanted to. So yeah, it's just about no limit to what you can do with these advanced design settings. So have fun playing with those. Yep, and that's a basic overview of the Divi Builder tabs module. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the Divi Builder Testimonial module. The Testimonial module is used to display testimonials, and each testimonial has a few different elements, a profile image, the testimonial quote text itself, an optional name, position, and website. This is a great way to show your potential customers what your current customers think of you, and you might typically see this on either your home page or sales page. And you can adjust the background colors as you see here. You can also choose not to use a profile image. You won't always have, an image of the person that's giving you the testimonial, so you can just use like a quote icon instead, as seen here. So like I said, typically you might see this on a sales page. So if you're, building out your sales page, as I have here, you have your, pricing, and some FAQs, and maybe some, some social proof here. And above this, I want to add, some testimonials from my customers, which will really help, I think, show just how good the service is that we're offering and hopefully increase our conversion rates. So I'm going to edit the page, and then we'll jump into the module settings. So down here, I want to add a new row. And I'm just going to add 3 testimonials. So I'm going to use a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 column. And then I'm going to click the Insert Modules button and look for that Testimonials module, which will be towards the bottom. Once you click on that, it's going to launch the Testimonial module settings, and as with all Divi Builder modules, the settings are broken up into 3 tabs: General Settings, Advanced Design Settings, and Custom CSS. As a general rule of thumb, everything you need to build a really great page can be found inside the General Settings. But if you want even more control over the appearance of your module, then you can venture into the Advanced Design Settings, which has customization options for absolutely every part of the module. You can change every part of the design and really have it match your vision for your site. And if you happen to know CSS, you can also jump into our custom CSS tab and add CSS rules to the module and individual elements within inside the module. Now I have some really great tutorials that go over these 2 tabs, so be sure to check those out. But in this tutorial, I'm really just going to focus on the general settings. So I'm going to head back to the general settings and go over each of these in detail. First up is the author name. This is the author of the quote that is the testimonial, so you want to put in the person's name here. So input a name. You could input their job title. This is optional, so it might add more social proof to have someone of importance giving this testimonial, so you might want to have their name and their position and their company and all this stuff. So next up is the company name, which is also optional, but you can input the company they work for. And if you do input a company name, you could link that to a URL. And again, this is optional. If you do add a company name and a URL for that company, you can choose whether or not the URL opens in a new window when clicked, or if it just opens up on the same page you're on. Typically, I switch it to open in a new tab, because if you're on a sales page, you don't really want to drive people away from that page. So if they do click on this link, let's just have it open up in a new tab, and when they close that tab, they'll be right back on your sales page, and hopefully that'll increase conversions a bit. Next up is the portrait image. This is the image of the person giving the quote, and this is optional as well. But if you happen to have a profile photo of that person, then you can input it here. And also you can choose to enable or disable the quote icon. Typically I disable this if I'm using a profile photo, but if I don't have a profile photo, I'll enable the quote icon, just so it's clear that this is a quote and not just, a random block of text. We can also choose to assign a custom background color. By default it's gray, so I'm just going to leave it gray, but you can change that if you like. And then you can choose the text color. So if you've chosen a dark background color, you might want to use light text. And since we're using a light background color in this module, I'm just going to keep the text dark so that it shows up well. And finally we have our text orientation. You can choose left, right, centered, or justified. And I'm just going to keep it left for now. Next up is the main content, which is the quote and the testimonial itself. So whatever the testimonial is, you want to copy and paste that into the content area here. And if at any time you want to get a preview of your module, you can do so by clicking the preview icon here, and that'll render the module in the parent section. So here we have the first and third column. The other two are still blank, but you can see the testimonial module we've created so far with that gray background color, profile photo, and name, title, company, and a link to the company. And you can also bounce back and forth between our responsive design testing tabs to see how exactly this module will look on different screen sizes. And finally, we have our admin label, CSS ID, and CSS class, which we won't be using in this tutorial. So I've created my first testimonial, and since I want to have 3 testimonials, I'm just going to duplicate this into 3 different columns. And then we'll update our page and take a look on the front end. So here we have our 3 different testimonials. They all have the same profile photo, 1 in each column. And I'm going to go back now and just change the photos and the names, and maybe change the background color too as well, so you can see how that works. So I'm going to go back to our second testimonial. I'm going to change out the photo here, and I'm going to save that. And then for our third testimonial, I'll change this photo as well. And I'll try changing the background color. So let's change to a darker background color, for example, maybe a dark purple. And since I'm using a dark background color in this module, I'll want to use a light text color instead. And as always, you can get a preview of what you're working with by clicking the preview icon. So we have these 3 testimonials now, 2 different photos in these 2, and a different photo in the third one as well. But on this one, we use a dark background color and some light text. So I'm going to save and just take a look at the front end one more time. And here we have our finished page with our 3 testimonials. Like I said, you can also choose to apply that quote icon, which is optional. But for example, if we didn't have any photos in these, so I'm going to go back and just remove these photos and apply the quote icon instead, so you can get an idea what that would look like. And I'll refresh the page. And coming down here, we have 3 testimonials. No avatars this time, just 3 quote icons. So that's a basic overview of the testimonial module and the general settings. But before I end the tutorial, I just want to jump in briefly into those advanced design settings that I mentioned previously, because there's a lot you can do here to customize the appearance of the module. You can really customize everything. So for example, since I have the quote icon enabled, maybe I want to change that quote icon color to something else. If I change it to purple, jump into our preview mode here, you can see that the quote icon has been changed to purple instead of gray. You could change the body font, for example. Maybe you want to change the font, make it bold. You could change the text color, letter spacing, line height, and jumping back and forth from this preview is always nice. So here I've kind of boldened things up. I've changed the font and changed the color. And as you can see, you can really customize just about everything about the module. And that is a basic overview of the Divi Builder Testimonial module. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the Divi Builder toggle module. The toggle module creates toggles that can be clicked, and when they are clicked, they open up and display a block of text. And they can be toggled opened and closed. And it's a great way to consolidate space on the page. For example, if you're creating an FAQ section and you want to have a bunch of questions here that when clicked reveal the answer, that's an example of how it might be used. And it's really just a way to consolidate space and make your page a little bit more organized. And like I said, you can there's two elements, a title and then the content text. And when the title is clicked, the toggle is opened and the content is revealed. So for example, I have a nice sales page here that I'm building. And at the bottom of the sales page, I would like to display some frequently asked questions. So hopefully that people who are on the fence about joining, they have some questions. Maybe we can solve their problem right away instead of having to go through a conversation or even losing the customer altogether because they never contacted us and we didn't answer the question to begin with. So let's just create a nice FAQ section at the bottom of the page here below our testimonials using that toggle module. So I'm going to edit the page. And then towards the bottom here, I'm going to add a new section. And inside that section, I'm just going to add a 1-column row. And then I'm going to click the Insert Modules button and look for the Tab module, which is towards the bottom here. Or Toggle module, sorry. I'm going to click that Toggle module. And this will open up the Toggle module settings. And as with all Divi Builder modules, the settings are broken up into 3 tabs: General Settings, Advanced Design Settings, and Custom CSS. As a general rule of thumb, everything you need to build a really great page can be found inside the General Settings tab. But if you'd like to have even more control over the appearance of the module, then you can venture into the Advanced Design Settings, and this will give you full control over everything about the module's appearance. And there's just like all kinds of great customization options here. You can adjust fonts, font sizes, colors, font weight, letter spacing, line height, padding and margin. Just about anything you can think of can be done here inside the General Advanced Design Settings tab. Now, if you know CSS, you can also jump into the Custom CSS tab and apply custom CSS directly to the module or to elements inside of the module. And I have some really great tutorials that go over these advanced design settings and custom CSS, so I would encourage you to check those out. But in this tutorial, I'm really just going to focus on the general settings. So I'm going to head back to the General Settings tab here, and then we'll go over each of these in detail. First up is the title. And this is the title that is clickable and that when clicked will reveal the content inside of the toggle. So since we're creating an FAQ section here, I'm just going to add some basic questions that my customers might be interested in. And inside the content, I'm going to paste the answers. Now you can also adjust the default state of the toggle, whether it be closed or opened when the page is first loaded by the visitor. And in this case, I want to save space. So I'm just going to have them closed by default, and then they will be opened once the user clicks on the question. Now, if at any time you want to get a preview of what your module looks like while you're editing it, you can click the preview icon here, and that will launch the preview and it'll display the module inside the parent section, and you can get an idea of what you've been building. And you can also bounce between our responsive design testing tabs to get an idea what that module looks like at different screen sizes. So I'm going to leave the preview. At the bottom here, we also have our admin label, CSS ID, and CSS class, which we won't be using. And I'm going to save and exit. And then I'll update the page and we can take a look at our first toggle there at the bottom of the page. So scrolling down, we have our toggle here. It asks a question, can I use your themes on multiple sites? And then when you open it up, it reassures the visitor that they can use the theme on as many sites as they like. Next up, I will add a new module below that one, and it's you can always duplicate modules as well to kind of speed things up. So I'm going to duplicate this toggle and jump in and answer a new question. So maybe we'll change the question to what are Photoshop files? And then we can answer that question down here. I'm not going to bother typing out a new answer. You get the idea. And if we preview that, we'll see both toggles in our section here. We get an idea of what we're working with. And maybe for this one, I will have the default state open just to show you what that's like. So I'll save and exit, update the page, and we can refresh our front end page here. Scroll down, you'll see we now have two toggles. One is open by default, one is closed, and both of these can be open to close and closed by clicking on the title or the icon to the right of the title. So that's a basic overview of the toggle module's general settings. But before I end this tutorial, I just want to jump into those advanced design settings briefly to show you just how much can be done here. You can customize anything. So for example, I might want to change the title font and make it bold and all caps, or maybe even bump up the size a little bit. And if at any time you want to preview what you've customized, just jump into the previewer and you can see the changes I've made here. So I've made the title much bigger and bolder. I can also adjust the color if I want. So I might change the text color to white and then change the background color to something a little bit bolder. So I could change the background color to purple. You get a preview of that. You see now we have a purple toggle with white text, and we've completely changed the appearance. So like I said, there's really nothing you can't do with these advanced design settings, and you have complete control over the appearance of your module. And that is a basic overview of the Divi Builder toggle module. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the Divi Builder circle counter module. What this does is it creates almost like a pie chart, so it creates a circle, and the percentage that you would like that circle filled in, you can define. And so it's a great way to display stats, for example. So if you scroll down, here's some example of the circle counter modules, and they will fill in as you scroll down the page, which is a really cool effect, and the numbers also will count up. So you can display stats about your company, or anything else really. It's just a more visually engaging way to display numbers and to have a little fun on your page. And you can customize the colors, as you can see here, depending on your background color. And you can also choose to add a title and whether or not you want to display the percentage sign. So for example, here I have an About Me page, and perhaps I'd like to add some stats about myself to display, my proficiencies as a developer. So I'm going to edit this page, and then we're going to add some circle counter modules. So generally you want to add one circle counter module per column, otherwise they're going to stack on top of each other. So in this case, I'd like to add 3 circle counters next to my text. So I'm actually going to want to change this row up a little bit. I'm going to add a new row, and I'm going to do a 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4 column. Move this text down here, and now I have 3 columns to add a circle counter, 1 into each. So I'm going to click the Insert Modules button, and it's going to bring up a selection of all Divi modules. I'm going to want to click on the circle counter, which is right here. And that'll bring you into the circle counter module settings. And as with all Divi Builder modules, settings are broken up into 3 tabs: General Settings, Advanced Design Settings, and Custom CSS. As a general philosophy, everything you need to configure your module and create a great page can be found inside the general settings. But if you really want to have more control over the design of the module, you can move into the Advanced Design Settings tabs, which has basically controls for everything. You can adjust everything about the design of the module. Or if you're CSS savvy, you can jump into the Custom CSS tab and just start editing the module directly with your own custom CSS. And I have some great tutorials that delve into these tabs a little bit more, so be sure to check those out. But in this tutorial, I'm just going to focus on the General Settings tab. So first up is the title. This is the title of the circle counter module, and it gets displayed below the actual circle. So this would be a label for whatever stat you're trying to display. For example, perhaps I'm displaying my proficiency in PHP, so I might say PHP skills here. Next up is the number. You're going to want to choose a number between 0 and 100, and that's going to be the percentage that the circle is filled in. So if I choose 80 here, it's going to be 80% filled, in which case I would be saying that I'm 80% proficient with PHP in this case. You can also choose to have the percentage sign on or off. You can choose your text color. So if you're on top of a light colored section, you want to have dark text. And if you're on top of a dark colored section, you're going to want to switch to light text so that your text is readable. Next up is the bar background color. This is the color of the part of this circle that is filled in by the bar. So in this case, it's going to be 80% filled with this blue color. And finally, we have admin label, CSS ID, and CSS class, which we don't need to worry about in this tutorial. If at any time you want to take a look at the module you're creating, you can click the preview icon here, and you're going to see here's a circle counter placed inside our current row, our current section actually. So here's my text module, my circle counter, and then these two empty columns. And you can switch between the two responsive design testing tabs here to see what the current section will look like on different devices. And for example, if I wanted to change, the color to purple, I can get a quick look at that. Now I see this purple color. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to save and exit. Now, since I want to add circle counters here as well, I might as well duplicate these, put them into these columns, and then I'm going to just adjust the settings here. So I'm going to jump back in here, maybe change this to CSS, change the number to 90, maybe change the color to blue, and save. And for this one, I'm going to change it to HTML skills, give it a proficiency of 50, and I'm going to switch over to a green color for the bar. And again, I can take a look at the preview here, and I'm going to have 3 circle counters, which looks great. Okay, I'm going to save and exit and update the page, and I'll take a look at what we've created here on the front end. Now looking at the page, I have my about page, and I have my circle counters to the left of my little about me text, and it's looking good. So that's a basic overview of the circle counter module.